All right, thanks, family. Welcome back once again to episode number 10 of Mosaic Entertainment Group. That's right, episode number 10. I made 10 episodes, so proud of myself. Myself a pat on the back here. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much to my guest. Thank you very much for that. Yes, so you are my 10th guest. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mosaic Entertainment Group Presents. Once again, this is episode number 10. And tonight I am speaking to the lovely actress, Miss Tenea Hudson.
Hey,
Uh,
hey.
if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Ms. Hudson. Welcome to Mosaic Entertainment Group Presents Tenea Hudson. I want everyone to give her a digital round of applause. Give a digital round of applause. For all of you on YouTube, please hit that like button, that share button, subscribe, and share with your friends. Hit that notification bell because more episodes are coming. All right. All right, everybody. So tonight, once again, we are speaking to Miss Tenea Hudson. How are you this evening, Tenea?
I'm good. I'm good, Jermaine. How are you?
Excellent. I'm excellent. I had a wonderful day today. Got some sun. Got a chance to get outdoors.
Mm.
Got some fresh air.
Did
So,
you wear your mask though?
not the entire day. I did on
Okay.
some parts of the day, but not the entire day. Got some UV rays that they're talking about. So, I
Mm.
do some of that. So, good day today. It was really good.
Okay.
How was your day today?
It was good. I really just chilled today. I'm back in class, so I'm rehearsing lines for my new scene. So I've been stuck in memorization mode for like 2 days now.
Okay, so that's a perfect segue into your craft as an actress. So introduce yourself to my audience, Tenea. Let them know where you're from, what you're into, how long you've been here, and I'll stop you there. So go ahead.
Sure. So, hi, everybody. My name is Tenea Hudson. I'm originally born and raised from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I know, cold as hell, but I made it, okay? I moved out here in 2016 from Minnesota from a bad breakup. And I just kind of jumped into acting. It kind of just fell into my hands where school called me up out of nowhere and was like, hey, I seen your information from where I don't really know. But they see my information. They wanted me to come in and do an audition. I was like, okay, what the hell? Let me go. I went and they liked me. They was like, you're not quite there, but you're trainable, you're teachable, and we can see you going some places. And from there, I just was like, fuck it. I like this. I like being on camera. I like, saying lines and being people I am not, or somebody that I'm not, or expressing emotions that I don't tend to get to myself. And I just kept running with it. And since then, I've been doing this professionally for the last 2.5 years. Well, 3 years now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So this is acting was not something that you necessarily grew up wanting to do. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. All right.
Correct. I grew up wanting to be first and foremost a nurse. When I first graduated from high school, I went to Mankato State and I was in the nursing program. I did a semester of chemistry and physiology and all of that. And I was like, yeah, y'all can keep all that. Too many body parts, too many names, too many muscles. I just can't do it. So I left there and I went to North Hennepin Community College, and there is where I got my associates in criminal justice. And when I got that, I was really focused on being like a parole or probation officer, some type of counselor. I come from, a mother who was addicted to crack cocaine, so I'm very into getting individuals to know that there's greatness and positivity in a world of just good outside of where you have come from or where your parents have come from, and letting everybody know who has been on those drugs before that there is something better than just hitting those pipes and needles and all of that. So I'm really very strong on family and growing and getting through struggles. So that's where my background kind of ended. And then when I got to Arizona, acting kind of fell into it. So now I kind of just add all those aspects into my characters and hopefully bring those characters into life with a little bit of personal, abilities for myself.
Well, you actually answered my question because my next question was going to be, since you've had those experiences, is that something that you bring to your particular characters, all of those different experiences, and whether they were yours personally or people you know or family members or whatnot, do you bring those things into your characters? And you just answered my question for me. So
Yeah, definitely. And when I went out to the New York Film Academy out in LA last year, when I went to class out there, that's something that they really touch on too, because with every scene and every monologue and anything that you're doing on TV and film, you have to make some type of personal connection to it in order for the audience to feel that character, to like or dislike that character, to have an understanding or a great subtext that somebody could actually see. You have to make stuff personal. And what I really learned through over quarantine, which wasn't a good thing for me, but when my grandma passed over quarantine, it was something that hurt me, but ultimately it's something that I'm going to use, because now I have something that I could back onto when it comes to my sadness. Is, a lot of the times it's kind of hard to get personal when it comes to scenes if you don't have those experiences.
right.
So I'm grateful for my experiences that are going to allow for me to enhance as an actor. I'm not grateful for them happening, but I am accepting of what it is.
Well, you know what? None of us get through this life unscathed. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not meant for us to, if you're living, it's not meant for us to get through it unscathed. No. How do you become iron? How do you iron? You got to get sharpened. How do you get sharpened? You get beat into shape. Feel me? So
Yeah.
those experiences are absolutely tantamount to not only the person you are evolving into, because they will play into that as you get older. Word of advice, word of not caution, but just experience.
Yeah.
And also as a craft, you absolutely want to reach into that, those experiences, painful or not. I have
Yeah.
a thing that I always tell my actors, and that is to just be. When you're performing, don't act, because that's when you're reaching. Just as you mentioned, you're reaching now because you haven't had those experiences, so it's a lot tougher to pull that particular character off.
Yeah.
And sidebar, that's kind of the issue I had with Cynthia Erivo as Harriet, but that's another. Um, so yeah, I didn't feel a connection at all, and that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's, like I said, that's another discussion. But actually, we can kind of touch on that a little bit to see if you're aware of the debate with a lot of the actors from, the black actors from Britain, coming over here and kind of doing their thing, and playing these, classically, historically African American, figures, like David. I can't pronounce the last name, but he played Martin Luther King and Selma. Um,
Okay.
so let's
Okay.
touch on that a little bit down the road. First, I want to kind of get into your experience here. So once you got here,
Hmm.
did the acting bug kind of bite you here, or did it bite you back home?
So the acting bug bit me in Arizona. It was maybe like a month or two in after moving here in 2016 where I got that call. The call actually came from John Casablancas out in Scottsdale,
Oh, yeah.
Arizona.
Okay.
Now there's definitely a lot of mixed emotions and opinions when it comes to that school, but I always break it down to this. John Casablancas is like any other school,
Mhm.
trade school, college school, post school, to where you have to pay to go to school. It is just like any other. A lot of people think that it's a quote unquote scam because you have to pay for the classes, but you go out to LA, you're not just about to walk into their classrooms. You're going to have to pay a registration fee. You're going to have to pay your classes on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or however they have that set up.
Absolutely.
So I have to touch on that every time that I speak about John Casablancas, because everybody always says, oh, they're a scam, they're a scam, they're a scam. No, they're not. They just have a program and they want you to pay for their program. That's it.
That's it. And they don't make
Um,
promises. They don't make any promises.
exactly. Just like every other job don't make you a promise. They tell you, here what you got to do. This what you do. You work to where you got to go. Where you want to go, you work to that.
Absolutely.
So it started off there. I went to class. I had a 30-week program with them, and in that 30-week program, I learned, on camera auditioning, commercials. I learned how to do my own makeup. I did, modeling tricks, posing, runway. It had a mixture of acting and modeling all intertwined because when you think about it, modeling kind of does go into acting sometimes, especially when you get to those like CoverGirl commercials and things like that. They
Right.
kind of touch on different aspects of modeling as well. So
Okay.
after,
For guys too, because I started off modeling as well.
say it one more time.
For guys as well, because I started off modeling when I was about 11. Um,
Yep,
that was to get into the Sears ads and stuff, so I can, you know, sell jeans and shirts and things like that. So yeah, I hear you.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
for sure.
So after I went to John Casablancas, um, graduated from there, I did sign with them as my mother agent because I already had grew a connection with them. I had known them. So I was like, okay, because they are agency as well, let's go ahead and start with them because I'm already associated with them. I was with them for 2 years. During that span of time, I attended the International Model and Talent Association program, which is AKA IMTA,
Mhm.
which is held out in New York and out in LA once a year. And during this convention is basically where talent, models, and actors, singers, dancers, whomever, will go out to LA or New York for a week period of time. They would go to seminars and workshops and also competitions. And within this competition, these competitions that allows for you to meet directors and casting directors and agencies and just put you in front of a lot of mainstream people and give you just that opportunity to just showcase your skills. Again, nothing is guaranteed that you'll be getting signed or you're going to get booked right away. But when I left IMTA, I walked out with 4 callbacks, 2 from school and then 2 from like management companies who wanted to talk further with me on me being under their rosters.
Wow.
In which New York Film Academy was one of the schools that were actually interested in me at the IMTA, hence how I got back to them last year.
Mm.
So after I went to the IMTA, I got lots of roles background wise assigned with my first agency. But the funny thing is that majority of my background roles always ended up being aired on TV. So like my biggest one with them was Ink Masters Angels, which I am on season 2, episode 9, called The Cactus Snail. And I was casted as a background actor, and during the day, the lady's like, "Well, how do you feel about this tattoo?" And I just, went on about blah blah. This is how I like it, and next thing you know, I'm on TV talking about blah blah blah, and this is how I like it. So that's kind of how it happened, and then I just kept going, and I just kept going and going and going.
Now, where is that, and where could they find that? Where can my audience find that?
So Ink Masters Angels, I mean, they play on Paramount Network
Mm-hmm.
for the brand on the TV there. I mean, they have them online, their episodes and stuff online. I've watched it on YouTube.
Okay.
I have a little clip on mine, but if you have access to any of their episodes, whether that's Hulu or Cox on Demand or whatnot, if you just go to Ink Masters Angels, season 2, episode 9. I am one of the individuals that you would see on
Awesome. Look at that. So
there.
things happen. You know what I mean? You just keep,
Yeah,
and you don't give up. That's the whole thing. So
that's exactly right.
so when you came out here, so since it wasn't for acting, then that question wouldn't make sense because I wanted to know what your impression is of the landscape, because a lot of the people that I've spoken to already came out with acting was already as their thing that they were going to do, once they touched ground, because they were doing it, somewhere else. Um,
Yeah.
except one guy, and that was Chris Tudenka, who moved out from the Midwest. He was a business guy. He was used to doing presentations and stuff like that,
Okay.
front of corporate people, and he kind of got bit by the bug, and moved out here for the same reason you did, except his was a divorce, and he kind of, settled in, and it kind of just stumbled upon it. And his approach is so tactical. It's like he really like breaks a script down and really seeks to understand the character. So he asks a lot of questions. He asks a lot.
Yeah.
So he seeks to develop that connection right off the bat. But he never started with this. This is not something he wanted to do. But once he
Yeah.
saw that he could do it, he was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not doing anything else. Why not pursue it? This guy's
Right.
back and forth to LA and just done a whole bunch of stuff in the last like 10 years. So
Oh, wow.
it can happen. It's perseverance. It really is. And
Right.
now is the time, for us. So let me take a little turn on this conversation a little bit, kind of tap into you a little bit. So I know you are, in the scene and you're acting and everything. So I want to get back to that, Cynthia Erivo and, the Black British actors and whatnot. So I know you watch a lot of movies and a lot of television shows. So
Mm-hmm.
actors, some of the Black actors you see on there, you may not be aware that they're British because they're able to, mask their accents when they're performing. Uh,
Yeah.
like the detective from just one television show. Um, she rose to be like the commander or the chief or whatnot. And I saw her in an interview one day, and she was just British. Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh snap! I didn't realize, that she was actually, British.
Yeah.
And the guy that played in Star Wars, he actually did an independent film, about some hood thing. Him and his little brother were sleeping in a car and stuff like that. So I didn't realize
Mm.
he was British. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
have you ever seen the TV show Black Lightning?
Yes, I actually just got done watching that.
Yes, the mom, she's British.
Yeah.
Yeah, she.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa, I didn't realize that until an interview. I
Mm-hmm.
happen to know the albino guy. I've known him. I met him when we were in our early 20s. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, he was the best friend of not my now wife, brother. They were real into hip hop and stuff way back in the day. So to see him on the
Mm-hmm.
show, amazing. Like, wow, I knew you back when,
Right.
lighting trees in his crib in downtown LA, hanging out, So when I was in my early 20s. So that's how things happen. That's how things happen. So what is your impression on that? I mean, I want to kind of poke the bear a little bit. What's your impression of, do you have even an opinion on that? Because the debate is that they're basically taking work from, Black American actors, and they're kind of now being used in a sense to bump us out of the way. So what is your opinion on that?
So, I mean, it's interesting that people have those kind of thoughts about that. I could see where people are coming from when it comes to like, kind of moving certain people out the way and, have them taking place. However, the way I look at that is, for me,
Mhm.
that just tells me I got to get my shit together just a little bit. That means for me, I got to add another language onto me. Now, not to say that I've already wanted to do that for myself, because for me, I think that's a little sexy if I could just like,
Right.
and just go back to English and be like, what's she saying?
Yeah.
So for me, I think that'd be a great aspect for me. But I don't necessarily think that it is something that is being taken away from the African American actors. I just think that it is an aspect that everyone has to look at to add to their craft. I mean, even if it's not a full blown language, sometimes having a good accent can get you in a good door. So I don't necessarily think that they're taking our place or they're pushing us out the way. I do think that it is an addition to something that they look at when they are looking to cast an individual. So I do think that it is something that all actors need to look into to probably add to their toolbox, because the more stuff that you can make yourself available to and can do, the more opportunities that you have. I mean, like, I want to go into stunting and all of that. So I mean, there's gonna be no way I'm gonna make it to a action movie if I don't have no type of stunning techniques behind me, training behind me, anything behind me. So if they're concerned as an actor that they're getting pushed out because they don't have that language, that's just something for them that they need to take into and say, hey, maybe I should learn a second language, or kind of start off slow, or they need to just add that to themselves. But I can understand where they're coming from. I don't necessarily think it's something that's going to bother me, nor that I think that's going to hinder me in my career.
I feel you. Well, their counter argument is, hey, we can't get the work in here over here in England. So,
Mm.
America is the land of milk and honey. So, hey, if that's where that's where the roles are, that's where we're gonna go. And a lot of the actors that we're seeing, more and more of them, Idris Elba, people like that.
Yeah.
These people are classically trained, like they were to,
Right.
not, not schools and in Britain, to learn how to, perform and hitting that stage is the number one thing. So
Yep.
they come with a certain, they're part of the diaspora anyway, but they come with a certain depth. I think that the craft is taken a little more seriously because of the culture that they live in. It's such a culture like that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
New York is just
And they find that they have restrictions, so I could see how they could go even harder to
right. I mean, if they
put their own selves out there.
exactly, I mean, would you want to continue? We complained about that. Would you want to continue? You're a classically trained actor. You can pull off any role, but everything you keep getting is the gangster, the hood guy, or the best friend, or the one that gets shot first in the film. Stuff like that. So it's like, you would be upset too. So I get
Yeah.
their point, and then I also get the other side. Like you said, it's like, all right, man, look, it's getting to be too much because is what people I don't think get what that argument of we're being pushed out is it's an overall agenda. And
Mm.
Hollywood is just another part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not just
Yeah.
Hollywood. We're not just it's not just a focus on that. It's an overall agenda, and they're doing it in Hollywood too. You know what I'm saying? Where they're
Yeah.
moving, the African American and subjugating, him or her into a, fourth to fifth class citizen. So, it's a deliberate effort. So that's the one
Right.
argument. And then the other side is, hey, we got to eat too. You know what I'm saying? And if we get,
Yeah.
tighten your game up. I've heard them say that. I heard a few of them say that, hey, if you feel you lacking on the work, tighten your game up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We can mask our accent and perform in an American accent because all they're doing is doing another accent. They're doing the American accent. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They're speaking the true English. So we're doing
Exactly.
we speak American. We speak an American version of English. So, so they're, all they're doing is just another accent. They just learned how to I learned how to speak a British accent when I was a teenager. They learned how to speak an American accent. So it's, it's all
Yeah.
one and the same. So, so I was just interested in your take on that because, you're out there, you performing, saying, and, a lot of your posts, you're coming across a lot of people and, you're very excited, about your craft and what you do. And you take a take charge attitude about it instead of, you're not waiting, for an opportunity. You're
No.
pushing for something. And that's something that I think a lot of people in your generation, I hate to say it like that, but that's what it is. I think more so than not in your generation,
Yeah.
have that spirit. But it's just so many that also lack, what I'm saying, that kind of self-determination. So where do you think that comes from? You know what I mean? You spoke about your grandma. Is that something that she passed down in the family? Is that a family trait where you know what I'm saying, you if you get knocked down, you dust it off and keep it moving? Is
Yeah.
that's how you move?
Yeah. So for me personally, I really think it really stems from my mom's crack addiction. To see her fight through that battle of listening to her head say go get the pipe versus her kids saying stay in the house, we want to just watch a movie with you.
Mhm.
I think that struggle and that perseverance of having to fight through that addiction is what just kept my mind going, of always wanting to keep going and never wanting to give up.
Mhm.
um I just have this big thing though that it's like for me, I can't, if I want something, I want it. So I'm someone who's persistent about it. So for example, like when I'm with my mom, I know she was doing crack. I mean, I know when she was doing it. I heard it in the bathroom. That doesn't mean when she come out the bathroom, I'm going to hate her. I'm still going to love her. I'm still going to, you know, annoy her as the daughter I am. I'm still going to let her know, like, Mom, I'm not mad at you, you know, or get mad at her when she, quote unquote, is tweaking of some sort. So for me, it's just because I've always had to battle with something to get something what I think would be the normal. I just apply that to my life now. What I need for me to be normal is for me to be on the TV screen. What I need for me to be normal is for me to be expressing myself all the time and making sure that my headshots and what I have all together is all together. So me persistently continuing to push towards everything that I need to do really just come from just my struggle of just not having the things that I needed, which was my mom around all the time because I was always looking for her. Just the fact of just me and my brother just being by ourselves a lot of the time. It made me want more. It made me need more. It made me want to show more, because once we got out of that stage and she was able to, you know, be the best that she could be and not have to go to the crack at all no more, it was just like, boom, here it is. And then we just keep blossoming from there, keep blossoming from there. So I just really think it was just my struggle of, you know, growing up with my mom being on crack and having to fight through that.
Wow. While you were telling that story, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, she'd be a great inspirational speaker. And
That's so crazy you say that, because I've been thinking that in my head. Like, I wonder if I think I'll be right if I like just do like a motivational speak. Like, I just talk to people about just being motivated. Does that feel right? And I keep asking myself this, but I don't know. I wrote it down, but I got a question mark next to it.
it's just been confirmed, you know,
Okay.
explore because you have a story to tell, and everyone, especially now, is looking for a story to kind of cling to for some kind of hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And you know, it's not on some cornball stuff. It's on some real life stuff. You know what I'm saying? People need something to hold on to. People need something to, you know, if they could look towards that particular story, you know what I'm saying, and say, man, if she could, you know, see that as a child and you know, take the positive side of, you know, what she saw as opposed to the negative side, which is so much what the stereotype of us as Black people is anyway.
exactly.
You know, the freaking um, circle or cycle can be broken. You know what I mean? It does not have to persist. And sometimes it's an intentional. It was an and not sometimes it's an intentional decision. You decided that that's
Yeah,
not. You're not going to do that. You're going to apply this to make sure that in your life, no matter what it is, you going for the gusto. You know what I'm saying? And you won't let, you know, anything hold you back. And I think that comes through. And that's a message. That's a message I think people would like to hear. And as a creative, you know, I'm sitting here thinking as well. I'm like, man, she should do a one-woman show where she's doing an extended monologue, you know, speaking in third person about her experience. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know, that way, you know, it's,
I like that idea.
you know what I mean? It's just ways to be creative and to continue to stretch yourself. And I really think, once again, you know, I don't only write, but I direct as well. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a former actor, so I know, you know what I'm saying, both sides.
Yeah,
I'm saying I know what's, you know, so, you know, you know, that's pretty much you.
thank you. Okay.
So that particular quality and element will shine through and should shine through in whatever character you play. Because if you remember this, that if you remember to hold on to that, man, you know what I'm saying, you get the Black Academy Award. You know what I'm saying? That's what we
Yeah.
do out here. We,
Right, exactly.
you know, build this independent arm of the Black Hollywood. You know, I like to call it because, you know, I'm not trying to be, you know, mainstream. That's just me. You know what I mean? I think there's enough resources within the Black community to where we can
Keep it independent.
absolutely, and why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not, especially now, why not try? You know what I mean? I'm involved
Right.
in different things. I see it happening, I'm involved in conversations going on in the continent, you know,
Yeah.
what's going on today. So I watch a lot of films from that side of the world as well, and their artistry is improving by leaps and bounds, what I'm saying, because they're being funded now, So
Yeah.
at some point, we gonna have to do for self regardless. So why not
That's true.
pull our resources? I gave you something that just came to me, just now in this, video, like, okay, tell her this, what I'm saying? Because I see
Yeah.
purity, like you only get them pearls when, what I'm saying, when you put in that work of, self-improvement, what I'm saying, and that you can't fake that, what I'm saying. Only someone who's doing the same thing can see when someone else is going, doing that, what I'm saying. You have other struggles I've seen you overcome that you put out on social media as well, what I'm saying. I don't know if you want to touch on that, but that's, something that people can look at. And that's what gave me the idea as well. Cause I was like, wow, she's talking about something that's kind of personal, you know what I mean? And kind of, intimate for some people, but I saw
Yeah.
what you were doing. I
Yeah.
saw why you did it, what I'm saying, on your Instagram. I was like, oh man, that's genius. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I always like to shoot you, some words of encouragement, you know what I'm saying? And let
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, you never know who's watching, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you know who's receiving the positive vibes, you know what I'm saying? So I,
Yeah.
keep that up, you know what I'm saying? If you want, you can touch on that.
Yeah, thank you. That was the quarantine. This quarantine really got me in my feelings.
I saw that. I saw that.
um, but it was also it's also the quarantine that got me thinking about everything that I needed to do, that I needed to get, and then what can I do to put myself out there more, to not necessarily advertise myself in a way like, hey, book me, but it's I've been doing a lot of online classes. I've touched in, I pop in on casting directors lives and they meet and talk with people, and a lot of the times they always talk about how when it comes to your social media platform, how you want to make sure that you're mixing the business and the personal together. Like, they don't want to just see you only talking about all your acting stuff or all your modeling stuff. Like, they want to get to know you.
Mhm.
And if anybody has been watching me from actually when I've started up until now, a lot of my posts are really all tied into work related stuff. There's maybe a hint or two of some personal stuff in there, but most of the time, a lot of my personal life is a naysay for me when it comes to social media. But when I've had a lot of these online classes and workshops and watching these lives, I did realize that I did have to start opening up just a little more, just to reach different audiences that I may have not reached before.
Mhm.
So that's why I started to kind of open up about my skin issues that I have, my issues that with me battling my weight loss that I've been going through since I left LA, which I'm so excited about because these roles is leaving. So that's why I just kind of decided to, open up more. And I utilize my story a lot for that too, because sometimes I don't know what to say or post on my mainstream. And sometimes I don't want to post certain things because it just looks weird on the overall flow of how my page looks. So I'm like, that's what the story is for. The story reaches different people anyway versus the mainstream anyway. So I've just taken advantage of my story, and I'm just starting to be a little more me, which I had an issue with, because for me, if you know me personally, I feel like I'm just like that goofy ass, crazy ass girl that just says whatever she feel like, does whatever she want, and just it is what it is. But if you meet me like on a professional, like, I kind of know her. It's like, yeah, hi, yeah, nice to see you. Yeah, everything's cool. No, no. So
Mhm.
I'm like, Tenea, I got to start, because I was scared to scare people off, because I feel like I am too much sometimes, and I don't want to not have nobody like me or not get the attention that I really want because I am too much of a person. But I had to realize, like, hey, somebody's gonna love the true you, and whoever don't, they just want me to be there. So
That's,
quarantine did all that for me.
hey, quarantine is doing a lot for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's beautiful. That's something I put out as well with the quarantine. You know what I'm saying? Is to get in touch with yourself. Learn to discover something new about yourself. And that's a beautiful thing. I think that's the just stepping outside of that box and expressing that level of vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? Also makes you a better actor. You know what I mean? Because you just open up a portal. You know what I'm saying? Of something else you can tap into,
yeah,
vulnerability. You know what I mean? Where, someone could potentially throw a comment out there that's just totally left, you know what I'm saying? Because you're expressing something that's personal. There's people out there like that, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, and it could have been something that, could have been hurtful. You could have ignored it, you know what I'm saying? I saw that, in your eyes, and I saw in your movement that it's still working with you and working in you. So it's not a complete process yet.
yeah,
Something I've observed. But just the fact that you're taking the steps, you know what I'm saying, to actually do that and put yourself out there, you know what I'm saying? It's if people, if you're conscious of the fact that, hey man, I may be a lot for some people, then hey, at least you know it.
yeah. Right. That's all, like, at least I know.
You don't lower yourself for nobody. You know what I'm saying? If there's a difference between compromise and balance. You know what I mean? So you balance, you know what I'm saying? Because people with power, you have to balance. You can't always.
Yeah.
That's something I had to learn. You know what I'm saying? As I learned how to be powerful, I had to learn
Hmm.
to temper that, and not in a sense of um not in the sense of like being afraid or but more in the sense of responsibility. Like this, you
Right.
have to kind of balance that, because you can overpower somebody, you can hurt somebody, injure somebody, emotionally, unintentionally, because I would have a way of saying things and doing things, and your feelings, what your feelings, like
Right.
I don't, I don't, I don't do feelings,
Right.
like,
What are those?
what's that? So I'm a Scorpio, so I hit you with that every now and then,
Right.
it's not verbal, you know what I'm saying? It's all body language, it's all that. So, you know, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? So this has been a wonderful conversation, today. I
Good.
really appreciate you coming on to my show, episode 10. Subscribe, like, hit that notification bell. Since we're winding up on time, I just want to ask you a kind of a final question. So I really like what you had to say. I really hope the audience has a chance to really see the authentic you. I kind of have a couple challenges that I'll hit you with at another time, but I kind of want to see you stretch a little bit, and see, just what you're working on, and to continue to build that muscle, because I don't know if you know Stacy Beatty, but she's starting to really kind of put herself out there a little bit, do the scene,
Hmm.
things like that. And I was like, okay, Stacy, I see you. You know what I'm saying? She's not letting anything, and she's way up here. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
and
I met Stacy once before. I had seen her around quite some time.
Mhm.
And when I really realized, when I really recognized her was when I seen her out in LA. We both went to the BET castings,
uh,
and I had seen her up there, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, I know that woman from somewhere. So when she got it, I'm like, you live in the Phoenix, don't you? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, it started with an S. And she was like, Stacey. I'm like, yes. And she's like, your face looks so familiar. And I was like, that is so crazy. But that's how I actually got to really connect with her. Because I'm like, girl, you out here in LA too. Look at us. We was out there too.
hey,
Cool.
that's
I
cool,
didn't make it on
man.
the first day, but I got there on the second day.
Hey, you know what? You made it. You know what I'm saying? And kudos to her too. Stacy,
Yeah.
she ain't stopping, man. And she's taking the second part of her life and making the most out of it. I'm very proud of her. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
cool stuff, man. Some cool stuff. Black people doing some things, you know what I'm saying? We changing some things, and we don't stop. We don't stop. You know what I'm saying? So, in light of that, once again, my audience, you are now speaking. You are now seeing, and I'm speaking to Taniya Hudson. And I hope you really got something from what she had to say. I know it kind of changed me a little bit and kind of opened me up a little bit more. So I really appreciate that. I never reject any kind of knowledge, understanding, even when you're unintentionally giving it. I'm always learning and I'm gleaning, you know what I'm saying? And continue to smile, continue to be who you are, and never lessen yourself for anybody. And the right people will start gravitating towards you the closer and closer you get to who you really supposed to be.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, any
Yeah.
parting words from my audience? Where can they find you? What you got coming up next? Your social media and all of that good stuff.
So I just want to leave people with my mantra,
Mhm.
which is a quote by George Clooney. I go by this every single day. It goes to professional to personal. The only failure is not to try.
Mhm.
You have to try. You can't tell yourself no. You have to be told no. Okay? Because your no's could be yeses at any given time. So just always try. Just always put yourself out there and just go hard every fucking time. And I mean it every time. You can find me on Instagram at The Real Tenea Hudson. My name is spelled TENEAHUDSON. I am on Facebook at Tenea Doing Me Hudson or Tenea Hudson for my professional page. Or if you want to check out my website, go to TeneaHudson.com.
Boom. She got the website, y'all.
Quarantine, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Get myself together.
We ain't waiting. Quarantine be damn. We not waiting.
Yes.
All right. So thank you very much for entertaining all of us, breaking us off with some wisdom, shining your light on my show. I really appreciate on my 10th episode.
Thank you, Jermaine, for having me. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Everybody, Taniya Hudson, let's give her a digital round of applause. Check her out on her social media. Check her out in her latest projects. And you know what? Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you all once again for my 10th episode. You all have a great night. Taniya, thank you once again. You have a great evening. All right. And I'll be in touch soon.
You
Okay.
too.
All righty. Take care.